What would you guys put on the Quebec Anglo flag?
The cynic and discouraged Anglo in me says the highway sign reading 401.
Oh, nice. The flag should be the fleur-de-lis, just half the size.
This is the Big Five on the Elias Macco Show, brought to you by investment advisor Richard Lapointe of CIBC Wood Gundy. Richard Lapointe can always be reached at 847-6324.
We found the solution, folks. You cannot rely on the city of Montreal. You cannot rely on the government of Quebec. But you can rely on your condo board. Seems to be the only people with teeth in this province. One of the topics headed your way on the Big Five right here at 9:05 on CJAD 800. Joining me on the panel this morning as we look at these Big Five issues. Anne Lagace-Dowson, how you doing?
Good, you?
Great to see you. I'm doing well.
I wore my crampon-y things this morning.
And, oh, yeah.
Like some kind of old lady.
It was a morning for them, by the way. As someone who walks to work, I
I'm wrecking the broadloom even as I speak.
And he is the founder and editor of Montreal Community Contact, Egbert Gaye. Hi, Egbert.
Yeah, how you doing?
Guys, I'm the most right person on this panel this morning. This is fantastic. Guys, let's start off with Aaron O'Toole. Shall we talk about him? We dissected Peter MacKay's French to death yesterday. I think it's only fair. But first off, let's talk about his candidacy. I want to play you a little bit of audio from his campaign launch video. This is Aaron O'Toole. He wants to be the next leader of the Conservatives.
Who's going to fight for auto workers who just saw the last car roll off the line? Who's going to fight for forestry workers who just watched another mill close? Who's going to stand up for those who wear a uniform of service to protect us at home and abroad? Who's going to defend our history, our institutions against attacks from cancel culture and the radical left? The stakes are high for Canada.
So who is gonna protect us from Anne Lagace-Dowson
Exactly.
and Egbert Gaye?
Oh, yeah, like we are really a threat, right? Cancel
reference to
culture
you.
and the radical left. Is this guy
left, that's
dreaming?
right.
Is he like on drugs?
No,
or
I
something?
think he's running for the leadership of the Conservative
But he's
Party.
running for the leadership of a very small demographic of Canadians. That's completely crazy.
Really?
Cancel culture and the radical left.
No more than that. I mean,
laughable.
he's talking about defending workers.
Yeah, but
He
that's,
doesn't have a
that's
strong history of defending workers.
none. And
that
that's
group.
interesting. He's stealing from the NDP playbook
Exactly.
there, from the left populist playbook of the NDP. But then he's attacking the what? It's incoherent and kind of crazy.
It kind of makes sense because when you go to the extremes, when you go like extreme left and extreme right, and you make it a
But
circle,
there is no extreme left.
They connect.
Yeah, but there's no extreme left with any power in Canada. That is a joke. What he's doing there is he's using a Trumpian kind of, cancel Christmas, cancel culture. Like that's nonsense. Scaremongering and ridiculous.
Having said that, you look at the field right now for the Conservative leadership. You got Peter MacKay, you got this guy.
Yeah,
so.
right.
Yeah, but you know what he's bringing? He's hoping for the populist angle. He's absolutely tried to go through the middle and tried to see how many people he can get on board and act like this big
He-Man,
Trump populist kind of individual in Canada. Speaking to a group of people that, they need proper leadership. They need leadership that's going to make them meaningful to Canadian politics one more time. And I certainly can't find it in him.
No, and they're not going to, that is not going to fly in Quebec specifically, especially the French language issue is really going to dog them. Aaron O'Toole's French is arguably a bit better than Peter MacKay, who was an MP for 15 years and never bothered to learn French.
Well, listen,
it's like, okay, buddy, like, what's going on with you?
That is a low bar to clear, being better than Peter MacKay's French. So let's listen to a bit of Aaron O'Toole in French.
Qui va se battre pour les travailleurs qui voient leur dernière auto sortir de l'usine? Qui va se battre pour les employés de bois d'œuvre qui voient leur job délocalisé? Se tenir debout pour ceux qui portent l'uniforme chez nous et l'étranger? Qui va défendre nos institutions et notre histoire, mises à mal par le politiquement correct et la gauche radicale?
There you go.
Gauche radical. So that guy learned his French in the military. He's a veteran, and he actually said that I have the French of a soldier. And to his credit, it's not too bad. And whoever wrote that knows how to use French. So he's above Peter. Like
Well,
he's defeated
like
Peter on the French thing. But these guys are like, I think they're kind of desperate post Harper. Harper was a master manipulator. He could downplay the right wing agenda and sort of poach onto Liberal and sometimes NDP terrain, and that's how I think he built his empire. But I don't think these guys have nearly the Machiavellian skills of Stephen Harper.
Can I say something? And this is, and I want to know if you think this is, you know what, we are vain. People are vain. This guy does not have a full head of hair. And do people vote for?
You better watch your mouth.
I know, Egbert. I know.
Wait a minute. There's a bald guy right here.
Yeah, I know. But look at who wins these things, right?
Yeah, the guys with the good hair.
Good hair.
Right? He doesn't have. It's a refrain. The politician's hair, right? You know, like everyone wants Mitt Romney hair. You know what I mean? Like this guy. I'm just throwing it out there because I think it is a thing about who you vote for.
You know what? You might be right, but I think
bald guys can be a bit scary. But
what?
Yeah.
What do you mean by that?
Well, I think
what
some
if you have a
people
beard? They're all right. Facial hair is okay.
But I don't have a problem with bald guys personally. Like all the guys in my family are bald. It's just like a thing. It's
How
a
many
genetic
bald
thing.
people have you voted for, Anne? That's the question.
Good question. I don't know.
That's
I never
right.
thought
You
about
never
it.
had a chance to vote for one. That's
I
the
think
thing.
I'm sure
Look,
I would have voted if it was depending on the candidate.
the
I'm sure I would
Conservatives
have. I
have
don't care
bigger
about hair.
problem than the hair that Mr. Man. You know, they have real problems
they
here.
do, yeah.
That's a
And,
red
you know,
herring.
exactly.
There,
So,
Elias.
hopefully they can convince Rona Ambrose to get back in the race. And
No, because interestingly,
have some
she
sort of
was the
chance.
most credible possible candidate,
of
right?
course.
Yeah.
Ahead of these guys by a long shot.
Well, but this is why
So,
yesterday on the show
she also has very good hair. I
She
have to
does.
say.
She does?
Yeah.
No,
But-
that's
I never
really
saw her
shallow
hair.
and silly.
Yeah, you are.
you know, but yesterday I argued on the show that it seems to me like the Conservatives have cleared the path. They want McKay to be the guy. And how you heard Quebec Conservatives yesterday defend Peter McKay, that's another indication they've decided he's their guy, and they're trying to clear the path.
The party operatives have decided, including
Yeah.
Stephen Harper, who apparently called Jean Charest into a private meeting and said, Jean, back off.
Yeah.
And Jean Charest backed off, right?
Yeah,
So, because he was quite serious, he even had a video prepared, which I saw before
Yeah.
they managed to pull it down. He was
yeah.
going to take a run at it,
Really?
and then
Yeah.
he was out.
Really?
Yeah.
So I think the party brass
Yeah.
came in and said, nope.
And not a
is
single
what we want.
not a single mention of the radical left in those videos that were leaked.
But they did have Leo DiCaprio in the video.
oh my God,
It's like,
thank you.
are
Did
you
they?
kidding me? Leo DiCaprio, enemy of the people. Like,
And-
what's going on?
And you're amazing. Thank you for bringing that up. That's the first thing I said when I walked in. I was
It's so
talking to Matt
ridiculous.
Gutte. So you watch this Aaron O'Toole video,
Right.
and at one point,
Well, you get epilepsy from the Peter McKay one, and then you watch the Aaron O'Toole one.
they show like Leo DiCaprio
Yeah.
as sort of like what Justin Trudeau represents. You know what I mean?
So
And
ridiculous.
It was so weird, and it was so out of place because that was the only image like that in the whole video. And
I know. So Leo DiCaprio's given some money quite a lot of money to environmental causes. Yeah, so what?
He's left wing.
Yeah, okay.
He's a
So
left
big
wing.
deal. Like,
You know,
it's like
so
us
weird.
versus the elites, us versus Leo
The
DiCaprio.
Gauche,
deal is we have to
radical.
remember what politics is all about. Politics is, am I going to win?
yeah.
Who's going to win? That's the only thing they have to answer. Who's
God
gonna
forbid
win?
that politics would be about being fair
It's
and
about
building a
winning.
better society.
It's
yeah,
all
God
about
forbid.
winning.
Good
Yeah.
point. A good way to segue here because politics is also about being ready. Okay. And we got some questions here about Projet Montreal. We don't have too much time to talk about this, but there is a question now that, Sue Montgomery getting booted out, and there have been a whole bunch of Projet Montreal councillors that have either been booted out or self-booted themselves. Remember Luc Ferrandez, after he decided to swear every second word, then he said, I'm out of politics. Was Projet Montreal ready for prime time? All of these issues, all of these things, and even little things like Phil Tomlinson and Outremont calling people who were opposing him at meetings the peanut gallery. Was Projet Montreal ready for prime time
It's
here?
all about leadership. Leadership. Who's going to lead this team of people forward? So whether the guys and the girls are not ready, you have to have a solid leader who can take people
So
forward.
you
with
blame
ideas.
Valerie Plante
No,
for
yeah,
all of these
well,
little things?
I blame the leadership.
You blame?
Yeah, that's a group of
I think
people.
it's really frustrating to be a politician. You have to deal with the public servants. You've got to deal with the public. And I think maybe the pull and push of that can really get on a lot of people's nerves. I can see how that could be frustrating. I think many of them were neophyte politicians. Like that, they had never run before, never been elected before, so I think that's part of it. I mean,
Yeah.
I think we need to know a little bit more about what went down in Côte des Neiges NDG, which happens to be my
Sue Montgomery
Borough.
will be on this show at 11:15, by the way, so we'll try and get her side of this story.
The top stories in the city. The Big Five on the Elias Macco Show.
High praise for members of the Big Five this morning. On the text line, I wish Anne Lagace-Dowson or Egbert Gaye. You were called Edgar, but that was an autocorrect. Would be prime minister. So hard.
I
to...
want to be governor
fish.
general,
So,
actually. I want to be right in
Egbert for the Senate.
isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
Egbert just wants the job that gets handed to you.
Yeah, I want governor general.
Anyways, Dean
What's
says
wrong with you,
this.
You don't like that job?
No.
You still
I don't
might be
believe
governor
in
general.
appointed.
You-
No.
I represent the queen.
Jay and Matt,
Good luck.
is it just me or is it, it's hard to get a word in this morning's panel.
It's the Big Five.
It's honest to goodness. It's
the big
like
four.
It's like I'm not even here. Okay, that was from Dean,
That's
by the way. That was from Dean, by the way.
Well,
Dean
thanks, Dean.
says that it is so hard to find smart people in politics, and he says
geez.
both of you should run. What party would you run for, you two?
Well, I already did that. I
Yeah,
ran for the NDP twice.
NDP.
Yeah.
And you,
Yeah, I'd like to
Marxist-Leninist.
I would, yeah, I try to bring the conservative a little bit to the center, so I run for the conservatives.
He's a left liberal.
Oh, God.
No, he's a center liberal.
Well,
Hardcore
and
left.
Dean has your vote. Run again. Okay, we'll start off with this story. A really serious story. This is a story that makes me angry. Okay, there's been an investigation ordered, federal investigation ordered, into a parolee who's accused of killing a woman in Quebec City. He was sentenced to life, a 22-year-old woman in Quebec City. He was sentenced to life in prison, 2006. Okay, life in prison, 2006. Out on parole again by 2019. Now he's being charged with another murder. Was it a mistake? Obviously, it was a mistake to let him out in the first place, right? But I guess my question is this something we have to accept if you want a justice system that is focused on rehabilitation and second chances?
Our system doesn't do a very good job of rehabilitating people. We've eliminated all kinds of services that were made available to people in minimum security prisons. We got rid of the farm systems. We got rid of all kinds of programs inside. If you have bored inmates, then you're going to end up in trouble. In this guy's case, he murdered his spouse.
Yeah.
He's out to have his sexual needs met. He's hired an escort. That's who this young woman, Marie-Lise, I forget her last name, Amelin or something? Levesque, 22 years old. He's also been found guilty of beating up other women that he has, there's some kind of murky history with this.
This is a stupid parole board.
Yeah, okay, so that's my question. Who is on the parole board is appointed people, presumably friends of the government. There's a big problem with the parole board. That would be my sense of it. Because nobody in their right mind who takes sexual assault seriously would have let this guy out. I sure as hell wouldn't have.
You should be able to do both. You should be able to rehabilitate and give second chances to those who deserve it, and then take the key and throw it away for scum like this. N'est-ce pas?
All right, here's a real left wing here. The parole, everybody have rights to parole. Every prisoner have a right to apply for parole.
Yeah.
Everyone. You can't deny people that right. It's a basic right in the justice system. But we keep thinking it's just about parole and parole decisions. Not. This is about prostitution. This is about that woman who was killed. She was 22 years old. In a hotel that night trying to make a living.
Yeah.
She has no protection from society. She is...
Wait a minute.
She
This guy is a convicted sexual criminal, and he's out hiring
He have the
her.
right to apply. But the point is the woman that wasn't protected.
No, that's
it's
true.
the prostitution.
But the parole board
prostitute
also
that
has
wasn't protected.
the
That's
parole
what
board
it
also
is.
has the right to say no. You can apply as much as you want, and the
Yeah.
parole board will just turn you down, turn you down,
We
turn you down. They
can't- we
didn't
can't
turn this guy
question a
down.
System. We cannot question the system because of a bad
But,
decision.
Egbert, you're not-
the
in this-
problem
in this
here
case,
is
in-
the prostitute that was killed.
But in this
See
case-
the victim for who it is.
Egbert, don't tell me you think the bigger issue in this case is that sex work is illegal.
I think that's
That's
the
the
only
bigger
issue.
issue?
That's the only issue.
You had a murderer that was
No,
out. That's
the guy-
the bigger issue.
no,
the
no,
murderer
here's
that
the-
was out that shouldn't have been.
No, you cannot. You see, you can't question the justice system. You got to
Of
believe
course
in
you
Canada.
can. No.
You gotta
can
believe in
question-
Canada.
You can question the fact that this guy got parole. He can ask for it, and the parole board can turn him down if he's sufficiently
what,
contrite,
Anne? Based on
sufficient
what?
contrition, therapy. I don't know.
How do you
There's
know
all
he
kinds
didn't
of
meet all
factors.
those conditions? He met those conditions,
I have
but that
questions
woman
for the
was
parole
not
board.
protected.
There were
She
other-
wasn't told that a predator is on the loose.
That's a
she
point.
didn't tell
She
them.
should have been
Nobody
informed.
tell them.
He should
Nobody
make-
tell the sex workers.
We don't know if she didn't know. The
But
guy
they
had a
all- no one
reputation,
knew.
apparently.
They sent him out.
He did have a reputation, and he was like
She
banned
agreed-
from one of these buildings that either she or other sex workers worked at. Yeah.
Yeah, so she agreed to meet him in a hotel because he'd already been told he couldn't have these encounters elsewhere. So
Guys, he was convicted in 2006. This is recent history.
Yeah.
Let's not blame, anything else but a parole board that isn't doing their job.
You cannot blame the parole board. He probably met all those conditions. You can't deny people rights.
You're not entitled to get out before you've done your sentence.
Except
it's a
if
privilege.
you meet the conditions, and he met the conditions.
He got life, which is minimum 15 years, and he was released before his sentence was up. So I'd like to know what therapy and what went on with this guy while he was inside, because clearly, so now he'll be sentenced again to another, maybe several sentences.
Yeah, so does he get out?
Like
when he gets convicted of this, do you give him another chance, Egbert?
You don't believe in the Canadian justice system?
Of course,
is that what you say?
Of course, I believe in the Canadian justice system, but I don't believe in murderers who murder their former spouses not getting a very tough, hard look at before we say, "Yeah, go out and get your jollies." That is nuts, and that's why there's a federal investigation.
I am concerned about the object of his jollies. That's what I'm concerned about. That poor woman who was left protectionless.
Yeah. Of course.
And not told that we have a predator who's out there, and the predator has rights.
The
predator has rights. He has to apply for parole, and the parole board needs to look at his conditions and see if he can meet those conditions.
Egbert,
we should protect the woman. We should protect
Egbert, you're
the
so
most vulnerable.
You're so weird. When we talk about authoritarian regimes like China, you're like, it's great that they can do what they want and they have absolute power, and then you're talking about how prisoners need to get out in Canada. It's so weird.
For the most vulnerable. That's all. Just deal with the most vulnerable.
Okay.
Look after their rights, and your society is on the right course.
Let's look at this country, right? The justice system has no power, right? The prisoners get out. The municipal government seems like they've got no power at times. Quebec government, we have no power to do things that matter to people. Now I'm going to bring up Airbnb, right? So we've seen how it's causing rents to go up in this city, how it's creating real ramifications for people who are just trying to find a place to live as more and more condos and that kind of stuff and duplexes get swallowed up and turned into short-term rentals. Now, we have an example of a condo board fighting back. Montreal Airbnb hosts have been ordered to pay more than $50,000 to a condo board because they were against the condo's rules, renting out the condo via Airbnb. Is this a solution here, guys? Since our government levels can't handle it, is the solution just say, okay, condo boards, have at it?
I'm puzzled by the fact that the city doesn't crack down on Airbnb.
They say they're powerless. They look towards Quebec City.
Yeah, okay. Well, okay, so these two instances need to get themselves together. It's a bit like the whole debate around Uber. In certain jurisdictions, Uber has been kicked right out in places like Berlin, and I can't remember. There's other cities. So this is basically a lack of political will, and I suspect some very effective behind-the-scenes lobbying by, among other things, Uber, and in this case, I suspect Airbnb. These are hugely profitable multinational corporations. They operate all over the world. Millions and millions of dollars are transiting through their accounts, hugely profitable. So I suspect that that's part of the problem with it too, is that nobody really wants to tangle with Airbnb.
No sympathy for a condo owner that just wants to make some extra money and
no,
bought it
I
and
have
they own
lots.
it?
I have lots of sympathy for people who want to hang on to their houses by renting part of their houses. I have sympathy for people who want to try and get some money when they're away by renting their places. But I also have sympathy for the neighbors who say there's people rolling in here at 2 a.m. They're staying up all hours. They're putting their garbage out on the wrong days. They're very disrespectful of the people who live here. So I know there's a housing crisis in Montreal. Yeah, people who are listening right now who are thinking they want to move, good luck finding a cheap place because it's almost impossible. And the sales of houses, the prices have gone way up. So Airbnb is part of the reason why we have a housing crunch now. So I think the city is on the front lines with this. They're going to have to pull themselves together and crack down on this somehow. There's 20,000 Airbnb listings. If you go on Airbnb right now, you're going to find so many listings will blow your mind.
Yeah.
And they're hugely expensive for the most part. So the city's got to get off its butt and do something about it, try and tackle it in some way. And then the province has to kick in too, because it's not just in Montreal. It's also in any tourist venue, any desirable place. Like Osheaga, when people come in for Osheaga, the entire neighborhoods go, people just leave because it's so unbearable. The people are in party mode and they don't want to pay for hotels.
Meanwhile, close to 100 people have to find temporary housing.
Yeah.
Come
on July
June,
1st.
July.
Yeah.
And
So
that's a big issue. And
we
as
want tourists. We
Mm-hmm.
want people to come into the city. I guess we also want to protect the unionized hotel workers' jobs. That would be something to think about. There's some very nice hotels here. I don't know. I think actually hotels probably are cheaper than some Airbnb listings
It's
at this
interesting.
point.
By the way, this is actually two separate tenants that were fined. One 37,000, one 16,000.
Right.
And in one of the listings, they were advertising all the facilities in the condo: access to jacuzzi, access to gym, that kind of stuff. Clearly, they were turning this into a bit of a racket. I'm happy to see someone get dinged, right? If I lived in this condo, I would be livid if my next door had turned into a hotel, right? You want to live there? We talk about having more families in in cities. Not every family needs to be in a gigantic place. We should, some families choose to live in condos too, and we need to fight back here a bit. I'm not in favor of a full Airbnb ban because I don't want to be a hypocrite. I go to other cities. Sometimes I like staying at an Airbnb because it allows you to be with locals and get a real, true experience of a city. But we need to have some common sense restrictions on just this massive amount of Airbnbs and the like.
It's a city and it's a family issue, and it needs governmental regulation. It needs governmental regulation at the top end, not at the end where you're going to tell them to pay some money to a condo association. Government have to become involved, both the municipal and the provincial government. They have to become involved and regulate. Airbnb is a massive multinational corporation. They bring in billions of dollars of persuasive power.
Guys, I have a quickie for you here, right at the end. Is it ethical to donate sperm after death? Right now in Canada, we have a shortage. We import most of our sperm from the U.S. I'm talking about infertility and that kind of stuff because we don't have enough in this country.
We don't have enough guys with sperm in Canada?
Well, you know
Come
what?
on.
Because I don't think you can't sell it. You can't sell it here, right? In the U.S., you can sell it. So it
We're
gets
buying
imported.
Yes,
Yes.
Anne.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
It's
anyway.
valuable.
Oh, okay.
It's a problem in a lot of parts of the world. And now there are some, there's a report here, the Journal of Medical Ethics published a paper arguing that you should be able to donate your sperm after death.
I think
Yay
the
or
answer is if the donor has consented. Otherwise, no. And also, I think you have to move really quickly once a person
Yes, it's
dies,
gotta be
right?
har-
Like
it
it's
has
like
to be
within
harvested,
48
yeah.
hours or something. I
Yeah.
think if the person who is the posthumous donor has consented, then maybe. But I mean, who knew that IVF was going to go right off the rails like this when it was first introduced, 40 years ago? It's getting kind of science fiction-y now. But consent, I think, is key.
I think so too.
What about, that eventual child who will never have the ability to reach out to their biological father?
Yeah.
Because-
Well, there's thousands of kids
Yeah.
who want to know who their donor, the sperm donor is, or in certain cases, the egg donor too, right?
Yeah.
It's like it's getting very wacky now. And I think consent and protecting the children is really important.
This was very boisterous, guys. Thanks for coming in.
You're welcome.
Anne Lagace-Dowson, Egbert, Gaye, appreciate it.